Australian plants are beautiful, adaptable and mega diverse. And I reckon every garden should have a few. But one of the biggest myths about Australian plants is that they need little or no maintenance. But natives are just plants, and so like any others, they will benefit from a little bit of TLC. Pruning, some feeding, and even some extra planting is all on the agenda. Pruning is one of those tasks that people can be apprehensive about, particularly when it comes to Australian plants. They worry that they might get the timing wrong, they might cut and damage the plant or even kill it. And truthfully, I've done all three of those things. But in most cases, I still err on the side of snipping. Pruning increases the vigour of a plant. It encourages new growth. It helps you to create the form and the shape that you want, and it also can get rid of problems. So it's always worth getting the secateurs out. When it comes to timing, a really good rule of thumb to apply is to just do it when a plant finishes flowering. Unless you want those seed pods to be a beautiful ornamental feature, it's great to remove them because that takes a lot of energy from the plant. You snip them off after they finish, and that will encourage lovely, thick, bushy growth right from the start. Millie has done a great job filling this space. It's grown very quickly, but it is getting a bit tall. So I'm taking about a third off. I'm working my way around, following down the stem to make sure there's still some nice fresh growth down below. I'm not cutting right into that wood, and hopefully that's going to mean I get a really thick and clear growth response. Pruning is a great way also to remove dead and diseased wood. Now, this cotton bush was doing so well, and then quite suddenly it started to die off. So what I want to do is remove all of that foliage and the areas of the plant that are dead back to the healthy growth, hopefully stimulate a little bit of new growth and help the plant recover. This Leptospermum brachyandrum, it's a weeping silver tea tree, is genuinely one of my favourite plants in the country and certainly in this garden. And of course the foliage is very beautiful. It has a simple white tea tree flower. But the real feature of this plant is this bark. As it grows at different times of the year, it actually sheds its bark. You get these wonderful curls of pink and brown over this lovely smooth reveal. So the way I'm pruning this is not to reduce the height and keep it compact. It's actually to enhance that feature of the bark. And that is just coming in every now and then and cleaning off some of the dead wood and removing a couple of those lower limbs to make sure that canopy's moving up. It is a beautiful sculptural tree, and using your secateurs, you can actually enhance that greatly. Is another area that can be a bit of a barrier for people because, there's all those questions. Do I, don't I? What do I use? And then when do I actually do it? The truth is, it is a little bit more complicated for some Australian species. So if a plant is indigenous to your area, in fact, I've grown a lot here from seed locally collected, then it's very likely that it'll be well suited to your soil type and it won't need a lot of interference or supplementary feeding from you. When you talk about that more wide range of native plants that come from all sorts of habitats all across Australia, they have really different needs. Now, there is one big group that people have caution around, and that is the big family Proteaceae. And some of the species in that family, some of the grevilleas, banksias and hakeas, are quite sensitive to the amount of phosphorus that we put into general fertilisers. That's because they're really, really good at taking it up. And so if you put on a general fertiliser, it's actually just a toxic amount. When it comes to feeding that group of plants, it's really important to use a low phosphorus Australian native fertiliser. And if you want to keep the feeding of a general native garden simple, you can use that low phosphorus fertiliser on pretty much everything. Potted plants are a different story. Growing in isolation from the natural soil, they're completely reliant on you. I grow a lot of native flowers and shrubs in containers, and all get a top dressing of a slow-release native fertiliser every 6 months. This finger lime has been growing in this pot for quite a few years. In truth, I probably should have potted it up, but it is at that point where it does need a good feed. It's a rainforest plant. It's a hungry feeder because it's trying to produce lots of flowers and, of course, that delicious little fruit. So it's going to get a 3-course meal. I'm giving the finger lime a top dressing of compost mixed with leaf mould. Then a small amount of organic fertiliser. And last, a weak liquid feed. I also regularly apply a weak liquid feed to my native seedlings. Things like paper daisies love a little food to push them along. No garden is ever finished. It's taken about 4 years to go from a lawn right across here to what I think is a pretty lovely native garden. And I know it's ready for a whole new phase. Now, I was really inspired when I visited a seed orchard in Euroa and I saw how little space they were using to grow incredibly large amounts of important seed. So this is my little tray of bluebells. I've raised them myself from seed. I'm planning on planting over 100 plants throughout this whole area. Now, I reckon that Australian plants are as beautiful and gardenable as any others. Whether you want a bush-style native garden like this, or you just want to put them in amongst those other gorgeous exotics. They are fantastic plants. And like any other plants, they will want a little bit of your love and attention, which is the best part about gardening.